All right, a good way to start the new year here on the PHLY Sixeres podcast. Our recurring guest, our friend from All City Network and ESPN, Tim Legler. Tim, happy new year to you, man.
Hey, great to see you guys. Thanks. Happy new year to you.
Good to see you as well. And look, man, as last time you guys talked, I wasn't with you, but good to be here with you now because I did have a question as we are sitting here 30-plus games in now with so many questions that were going into the season with the Sixers. Currently sitting 4 or 5 games over 500 at this point of the year. Right there in the mix in the Eastern Conference, and with the injuries with Kelly Oubre, Trendon Watford out, Joel Embiid, Paul George missing time as well, and yet they're still right there in the mix. Tim, how surprising is it for you as we sit here and talk about this team today?
I'm very surprised with just looking at them at 19 and 15 based on what we know now. Like if you had handed me a script before the season and said 34 games in, this is what the availability was going to look like for Embiid and Paul George in particular, I said there's no way they're 19 and 15. So I give them a lot of credit for that. Because the thing with them going into the year, we have to sit there, and it's part of our job is to predict like what the conference looks like and where these teams are going to finish. And, there's over under on number of wins comes out, and we go on shows and we predict over or under that number. Like, the Sixers were without question the hardest team to predict because the floor to ceiling is wider than any team in the NBA. Based on the health and availability of Paul George and Embiid, what that could look like and what it would look like if they didn't. And we got a taste of it last year, what that looks like. So it was very difficult to predict that. So as a result, you go, okay, they could be a 30-win, 25-30-win team, or they could make it maybe as far as the conference finals potentially with all that talent they have. So to sit here having missed as much time as you have with those guys and still be 19 and 15, to me, I've been impressed. I know that people are probably upset about the loss the other night to Denver, with who they were rolling out there, and to lose that game. It's an overtime game. It's disappointing for sure on the heels of a 3-game winning streak. I get it, but you got to, in an 82-game season, look at the totality of kind of where you are in like 5 and 6 game segments. I think that's the best way to evaluate teams. I think they've overachieved based on what we know now about who's been able to play.
So building off that, Tim, I know early in the season, you were really concerned about Joel Embiid's mobility, especially on the defensive end, like what he was going to be able to do there. As he's gotten his legs under him here and he's playing consistently, I think there's been a lot more optimism about him locally. I guess what have you seen there, and what has his recent run of play changed about your thoughts on him or maybe the ceiling the team has this year?
Well, I think I can say this. I'll differentiate myself from maybe like what people think locally because they're living and dying with the team. Everybody there's emotionally invested in this. Yeah. You desperately want this to happen. For me personally, it's improved. Yeah, it's improved incrementally. His lateral mobility and explosiveness defensively and impact on that end. It's still nowhere near what it used to be. Now he can still score because he's got massive size and touch, credible shooting ability, and he still understands how to draw fouls. Like he's always going to put up offensive numbers, even in limited minutes, because it's that easy for him to score. The other part of the game, though, is what made him special. It's what made him an MVP. It wasn't just the eye-popping numbers. It was like this guy as your anchor, as a guy that can completely shut down everything around the basket at critical times in the game. That's what differentiated him. And I still see, is it by design? Because he's holding back and he's reserving his energy and reserving jumping unless he absolutely has to try to protect himself. Maybe that's part of the plan, but you can't really honestly say it's not a dramatic decrease over what he was defensively. So I'm still seeing that, even though it's gotten better. He's had a little bit more consistency with his appearances and his minutes. So he's probably getting stronger, getting a little bit of explosive ability back, probably getting a little bit of confidence back too, just jumping in traffic. But it's not anywhere close to what it used to be. And that's been a major concern for me as well. But one thing I will say is this: they've done a better job lately of blending like the offense style, not being so dramatically different when he played and when he touched it and when he didn't. That was my biggest concern, honestly, of everything. Like, this is a really difficult situation to navigate with Maxey and Edgecombe and this fast team up and down that's fun and freewheeling. And then Embiid plays and it looks totally different. They slow it down. He has to touch the ball every trip. And now what? Guys stand more. They watch more. they've done a better job of blending the collective talents, including him, lately better than they were earlier in the season. And I think that's a really positive thing.
Tim, how much of that, Tim Legler joining us here on the PHLY Sixeres podcast. Tim, how much of that is just him getting out there, as Kyle said, no more minute restrictions. He's getting his legs underneath him. And while he was out there plus sitting, he saw some of these other players, Maxey, Edgecombe in particular, do things that have leveled up to help them win these basketball games. How much does that help his willingness to maybe take a little bit of that backseat, help out, et cetera, with the passes as well?
I think it probably did help, because you do get a bigger picture view of your team, and you probably have a different belief in your team once you see it. I mean, he knew what Tyrese Maxey was, but
for sure,
even by those standards, he's dialed it up a notch, take it to a whole nother level. I think the guy should be an all-star starter. And if he's not, I think it's a travesty. It's like that's where he's taken his game. But then you see the impact of a guy like Edgecombe, some of the new guys that they've had and the contributions they've made probably does give him a little bit more confidence, because one of the things you're seeing is his efficiency has picked up. That was a concern for me earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. Guy that big that we're so used to being so efficient was completely inefficient offensively. You're like, man, well, that's a problem for them. That's picked up now. He's now regularly back shooting over 50% on nights, still getting to the line, doing it in less minutes than he used to play, even though he's not restricted. Those are really good signs that he's been able to pick and choose his spots a little bit better offensively, and being able to still incorporate the talent and the speed and the youth around him. That's not an easy mix. It's not easy for Nick Nurse to blend that. It's not easy for those guards to blend that. They've done a better job of it, man. So I've been happy with the progress there.
So, Tim, I think all of us were enamored with VJ Edgecombe's athletic tools, his competitiveness, and a lot of this stuff coming in. But I think he's blown past everyone's expectations as a shooter. Like, he's shooting like 38% from three, and he's shooting a high volume on top of that. So as we take that as more of this is part of his game, we expect him to shoot. I guess if he's going to make another in-season leap or a leap over the next, let's say, year or so, what's the next thing that you see coming for him, or is essential for him to level up right now?
The next thing, without question, is going to be his creativity with his handle and running ball screen. Like that's the next level for any big-time guard, and he clearly has the athletic ability to do it. He's got good size, very competitive. I loved him coming out. Remember I was doing media hits in Philly leading up to the draft, and I was saying you guys are gonna love him. Once I knew that was the pick, Ace Bailey, that whole situation made it easier for the Sixers. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of just was like, this is the guy, and I was like, man, you're gonna love this guy, and he's even surpassed my expectations as a rookie. And we all kind of got a taste of that opening night. In your first game, going up dropping 34 in Boston and looking that calm, cool, and collected doing it, the way he plays down the stretch, the big shots that he's willing to take and make, shows you he's cut different. Like he feels differently emotionally in those situations than a lot of young players. That's all there. What's the next leap for a big time guard? It's creativity with your handle in ball screen, because he can do some of that stuff in ISO right now. He's got a real nice start-stop game. He can separate with a step back. That's natural scorer stuff off guard. Get into more of that lead guard handle mode, where you can break down any type of coverage on a ball screen, split two defenders, drag two, stop if the guy goes under and shoot a three, come off, go downhill full speed, but still throw a lob on target, or throw a cross-court kick-out three to somebody. Like, that's the next level, where now there's not really an answer for you anymore at all in this league when you can add that, and you're that level of a dual threat. He's not quite there yet with that, and he shouldn't be. Some guys, it takes several years to add that. The guy that I always use as an example of this is Jason Tatum. Look at Jason Tatum's handle now. Look at Jason Tatum's handle his first 2 years in the league. There's no comparison, and it's what elevated him to first-team All-League, MVP caliber type player, was that escapability with the ball, maneuverability with either hand, either direction, no real containment of you. And that's where Edgecombe can take his game over the next year, year and a half, 2 years, whatever it may be.
As that game continues to rise, Tim, it's the two-way ability as well on the defensive end. He's done some really nice things in 2 games against Jalen Brunson, where Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson. He's going to score, but you saw some nice moments, and you've seen it throughout the season as well. How impressed are you based on what you've seen defensively from him, while still having to do things on the offensive end to help out those guys?
Yeah, very, man. A guy takes both ends of the court seriously, and I think that is the best quality you look for in a young player is the want-to factor there, and it is with him. And he's still a rookie, so he won't get the benefit of the doubt on certain calls defensively. And there's still certain guys. I mean, he's guarding at that position. You're guarding elite guys every trip. You're guarding a guy that can tune you up for the most part in the NBA. So like you're still going to get worked over sometimes because that's the level of talent. But as you start to learn players, you start to learn what they want to do a little bit better. You see them a second and third time around, it starts to become easier. But the one thing you can't instill if you don't have it is want to. And he's got a lot of that. And that to me is what stood out about him in watching him in college and the film I watched him leading up to the draft was that. It stood out to me. He cares. Like he cares about that end and being committed and not being the reason that a defensive possession breaks down. He cares a lot about it, and he's got the athletic ability to back it up. So now it's just getting a little bit of maturity in this league and learning who you're playing against, and it's starting to get more respect to the officials so you can get away with a little bit more contact on that end.
Tim, last one from me. As we talk about the health and where they're at as a team, it looks like they're about to get Kelly Oubre and Trendon Watford back from injury. Dominic Barlow has been penciled in as the fifth starter for this group. Has had a good year as a glue guy, forward type, do the dirty work. But do you think how would you play the starting lineup? Like the four guys between VJ, Tyrese, Paul, and Joel are locked in. But are you more inclined to say, Oubre brings something off the bench and he's more dynamic and leave him in that sort of role? Or is throwing out a couple of wings out there in PG and Kelly, is that more of a look you would go with over Barlow in that spot?
I think I would go with Oubre. And I think part of the reason is because you get a guy like Barlow, getting his first taste of this and being so young. And I'm not saying that Kelly Oubre wouldn't bring the same level of effort and attentiveness that he came off the bench, but you're more likely to get similar contributions and similar minutes from Barlow off the bench than you would Oubre. He's been around the league a long time. He's been a starter. It's a rhythm thing for guys like that are veteran players. It's just a different feel. I think Barlow is going to look exactly the same. So whatever, what is he playing? How many minutes is he playing? 25 minutes a game. Maybe those minutes are going to drop because it's more crowded at the wing. But let's say he's still 20 minutes a night. It's more likely to look like the same 20 minutes off the bench for him than it is a guy like Oubre, who's been around, a veteran player, started a lot in his career. I just think there's a rhythm coming out of pregame warm-ups and all that a veteran player kind of likes and needs. It makes them to be able to stay in the lane they're used to, and it makes them more comfortable. Whereas a guy like Barlow at 22 years old, he's just so excited to be out there. It's going to look the same, whether he's coming off the bench or starting.
All right, Tim, good stuff as always, man. You can catch Tim Legler on the All City NBA podcast with Adam Mares. Make sure you check them out there. And as we talk about ESPN, what's next up on the call, Tim?
We got Lakers Spurs tonight, so we got a big one. And then next week in Philly, back-to-back games. I'm
all right.
With the ESPN crew, we got both of those Cavaliers games, Wednesday the 14th, Friday the 16th. I will be on the call for both of the Cavs Sixers games next week. So I'll be back in Philly, which will be nice.
We will see you there, Tim.
Got it.
You got it, man. Tim Legler, as always. Thanks, man. We'll catch up soon. Appreciate it.
Anytime.